Hello and welcome today to episode 63 of Celebrity Customer Experience. Riffs with me, Jill Raff, where we riff on anything and everything employee experience to customer experience, because I am truly obsessed with outstanding employee experience, creating outstanding customer experience. And I know that your business will increase its revenue due to engaging committed and loyal employees and customers. Of course, it begins from the inside out with your people. That's why actually I have my system, my proprietary program is called the Inside Out Framework, because I guarantee you outstanding employee experience will produce outstanding customer experience. So I have an amazing guest today that really lived that story and understands what great employee experience is about and she's learned from the best. So before I bring her on, I want to just invite everyone, if you are watching us here live today, to tag, to comment. We can bring you into the conversation. It's much more fun that way. And if you're watching the replay, thank you. That's cool too. You can still comment and tag either myself or my guest, Kenya Michelle. Kenya, thank you for joining.
Hi. Nice to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. Well, I'm really excited. I will just let everyone know that today's episode is called Events and Connection. I'm sorry, Power of Connection. And Kenya and I actually connected this year over this crazy year of COVID, which I think ironically, excuse me, many people have created relationships and connections through this crazy time of living in the virtual world. And we met on Clubhouse and supported each other there and really connected because of this shared passion around great customer experience and understanding that it does start in the employee experience. So a little bit about Kenya. Kenya Michelle is a native Puerto Rican with 20 years of experience in customer relations, marketing, event planning, and hotel operations. She brings a wealth of experience working for Ritz-Carlton, Sheraton, St. Regis, the Westin and Wyndham hotels. Now, I think we all understand, right, that she knows quality. Having also served our country as a human resource and intelligence specialist in the U.S. Army's 4th Infantry Division and 1st Mission Control Command. Amazing. She lives by high standards and tenets and practices of transformational leadership. Kenya, thank you for serving our country.
Of course. And thank you for all the other troops that have also served.
100%. Kenya's knowledge and in different industries and how our customers and engagement is across all industries has provided insight into strategic planning and trends in all that she does in her business, Uniquely Powerful Media. So Kenya, let's start at the beginning. So everyone understands a little bit of your backstory, your journey, and how it brought you into this world of hospitality and customer
Absolutely.
experience.
Yes. Well, it all started, I've always been in customer facing jobs since I was a teenager. I worked, and my favorite job of all times was working at a gym. I was one of those kind of trainers that floated around, provided some insight on how to better create a system or something for them to reach their goals. And again, I was 16, 17 by then. So I really did enjoy the connection that we created in that time and moment and with those members. Even when I moved to the United States, this was in Puerto Rico, they made sure that they knew they were going to miss me, and I made sure to let them know that I was going to miss them. So that's how pretty much I started customer facing all the time with my jobs. Then, of course, being, in my early 20s and working and going to school, I continued to work in retail, again, customer facing and call centers. And then I went back to school and finished my bachelor's in event and convention planning. That's how then I encountered the hospitality within hotels world. I got a great opportunity to open a new hotel in Puerto Rico, the Sheraton. And from then on, it's just continue once you get like sucked into this life. It's hard to leave it. So it's been a lot of fun during my time. This is in 2009. During my whole time, I just learned from the different brands, the different cultures amongst the different companies, like Marriott versus Starwood versus Wyndham, and even Disney. So it's been a very, I will say, it might look crazy because of so many brands, but in reality, I do see it as a strength. It has provided me insight from the back as to how they manage not only their customer service, but also their employees. So I have seen a wealth from what not to do to what to do more often.
Yeah.
Um,
Right? Like often we think of what we need to do, and it's just as important to understand what not to do or what's gone
Correct.
wrong. So first, I want to just welcome Dennis Wakabayashi's joining us. Great show, he said. Dennis is my customer experience brother, and he's awesome, and he totally gets this. He says customer facing empathy for the win. So he is
Yes.
with you on that. And your face to face with your customers really did. I think it's a beautiful foundation
Yes.
of what it has given you from which to build on. And I think that, you talked about it might look weird with all these different companies. Well, I don't think so. I think if anything, that strengthens the body of knowledge that you have and experience, because every brand is different. At the end of the day, that I think of that golden thread that runs throughout
Yes.
it, right?
Yes.
Is the same. But it is very important that you represent the brand that you're working with. And so each one really does have its own added pieces. When I work with different clients,
Yes.
or sometimes different industries, even, people will say, well, you've worked with restaurants, or you're focused a lot with hospitality and hotels, and do you work with law firms? Or I'm actually in the medical area. And it's like, yes, it's all the same. If you're in business, if you have customers, if you have employees, and honestly, even if you're a solopreneur, you become that employee. You're the CEO. You're the one that's now interfacing with your customers. And so it really is just as important. Yeah. And Carl is with us as well. Thank you for joining, Carl. We are recently connected on LinkedIn. He says hello, Jill and Kenya. Thank you for joining, Carl.
Thank you.
Hopefully you will enjoy this, and welcome Dennis and Carl and anyone else listening to contribute along the way. So Kenya, just picking up again, really interesting background, interesting start, that you were bit kind of like Spider-Man, right? He was bit by this radioactive spider, and then that was it. It was in him forever.
It was forever.
I think hospitality, which I think of hospitality as the global term of hospitality, where it's anything where we are serving others. It's specifically hotels, of course, lodging and restaurants. But honestly, kind of on a bit of a mission to broaden people's expectations of when they hear a hospitality, because right when someone comes to our home and we serve them well and we take care of them, people say, oh, they were so hospitable, right? So
Yes.
I mean, it's that feeling that we give to our customers or our clients, the people that we serve. And so I hope that every industry sees that they need to carry that feeling, that genre, that core.
And in a way, hospitality is not only exclusive to hotels and restaurants. Is pretty much it has to be applied to every industry, even business to business, even in the military, because I was in human resources. And funny enough, in the military, you do become property of the United States. So decisions are made for you, are made for you. And in reality, when they give you an order, you have to follow through. So there's already a stigma on the troops, on the soldier. Like, okay, I'm giving my life away. I am going to be treated wrongly, or this, it is what it is. But in every interaction within the unit, or the between soldier and sergeant, has to be hospitable. And in our office, I was in the district level, so we were attending 16,000 soldiers, And this is back when Iraq war was all full blown, 2006, 2007, 2008. So you had troops that had already been to Iraq 2 or 3 times at least, and or they were getting ready to go again because it was like 1 year away, 1 year back. So there is already a vulnerability of the services that you're providing. You in human resources, you ensure they get the promotions, you ensure they get their time off, you ensure that their records are available for them from medical all the way. So there is a hospitality part in the services that we provide.
Yeah, and it sounds like what you're talking about is, right, you're taking care of those soldiers, your internal people. That's the same,
Yes.
right? What we have to do with our employees. We have to look after their best interests. Right now, you just talked about time off. A big problem that I keep hearing over and over, and that my clients are telling me, is that we are short staffed. We cannot find enough people to run our businesses the way we need to ensure that customer experience. And what's happening is their people are getting burnt out, right?
They
People are
are.
working many more hours than they should be. But they're, at least they're showing up, they're coming in. So often people just ghost their employers. It's, and at every level. I mean, I've heard this from someone actually in the hotel hospitality area, and they were interviewing for a 6-figure job, and they said, okay, we'll call you back, or they were going to come in that following Monday, and they just, it was a no-show.
Oh, wow.
I mean, so we're not talking about just an hourly wage worker, which really takes us to whole other direction. We don't need to get into right now, but it's something to really think about, is what is going on in the mentality of the talent pool today, and why are people not showing up, and what do we do as employers to ignite that passion, to incentivize people, not just financially, but I believe it goes beyond. And statistically, they prove that it's not just about the money.
Yes.
It's about giving them the power, having them feel the ownership, asking their opinion, having their input put into action, including them on what's going on in the business, and making them realize they're a part of something bigger, right? And so tell us a little bit about your experience, because I know, my gosh, you work at the best, and of course, famous Ritz-Carlton is most famous for that, right? They call ladies and gents, serving ladies and gents, right? They refer to the same way they look at their external customer to what I call their internal customer, the employees. So tell us about what you learned there that others could learn from.
Well, definitely, one of the main things that they teach is to kind of foresee the needs of the other person. So and there's trainings about it. There's a really good training, and she travels a lot, that provides you with how to open up a conversation with someone, and how in conversations people give so much information away. So as you're checking in the guests, maybe they're taking out their items, and you see that a picture falls off or something, and then all of a sudden they're talking about their son or daughter, and how old are they, or they're about to go to college. If you ask the right questions, people will give you information even without them knowing it. Sometimes they say, my birthday is next week, and I'm going to be traveling. Then you can ask, where are you traveling? I'm going to stay at the Ritz-Carlton in New York. And you're like, okay, birthday next week. You input that into the system, which is Mystique. And then New York already knows, okay, this guest that is checking in this day has a birthday. So they ensure that person, when they check in, they have a birthday cake in their room.
Oh my gosh.
So it's, again, with conversations, how to ask the right questions, and how to just keep your ears open to get that info out. And this happens with employees, and it happens with your peers. They want to talk. They want to share their lives. You can see it on their desk. You become kind of like a little FBI, CIA spy, but you look around and you're like, okay, they have kids, or they have a girlfriend, they have a boyfriend, they're married, or, look, they have like surfing stuff. They like surfing. So those little things, that's how you are able to then in the future be able to open a conversation and
Mm.
also foresee future needs for them. And that's one of the main things that they teach at the Ritz-Carlton. You have to foresee what they call in the credo expects. It is how to fulfill the expect and unexpected wishes.
Hmm.
Unexpected. That's the main one.
Unexpected. And I think that's what people feel the most, because it's like, oh my gosh, they proactively anticipated. It was even beyond. So then you
Yes.
know someone really cares. And I think what you talked about is really smart, and everyone can use this. Ask questions and hear what they make, comments, and be an active listener, an action active. That is the key, that word that comes up over and over
Yes.
again. And then what do you do with that information? So a lot of companies do all these assessments and all this information, they collect all this data, but what do you do with that information? So the
Yes.
fact that you forwarded it to where they were going and they already knew, I mean, it's really about listening. It's a true
Yes.
active listening skill, not just
Hmm.
always talking,
Yes.
and being observant. I love what you said. Looking at the desk, right? Looking at pictures, looking for clues. There's so many around us. If we
Yes.
were to just stop and become aware, create that awareness, and it is a
Hmm.
practice skill, and it can be developed more and more and more. You mentioned that about birthdays and how brilliantly that was done. My daughter's birthday was just Tuesday, and we went out to dinner, and of course I put, in the reservation notes, I put that it was my daughter's birthday. She was turning 17. And then when we called, we were running a little late, bad traffic accident, so I called to tell them, and then she said, oh yes, RAF party is 6, whatever. And I said yes, and I said again, for my daughter's birthday.
Hmm.
Well, would you believe that when we showed up at the restaurant, the waitress came to the table, and she was a great waitress, but she showed up, and this is not her fault. It's the management.
Hmm.
She said, so have you dined with us today? Are we just here for a nice night out? And I was like, are you kidding? Like,
Yes.
she should have known. She's been
Hmm.
told twice. And again, recently, whoever answered the phone at the host desk, and she didn't know it was her birthday. Like, that should have been written in the notes for when she
Yes.
served the table. So,
Again, she had the information, but then she didn't do anything about it. She just kept it to herself.
well, I don't think she knew. I think the host
Well,
kept
the
it.
host, yes,
Yeah,
the
or
host kept
whoever,
it.
right, creates those
Yes. So
reservations. And that's
correct.
definitely information you want to give to your people who are interfacing directly with the customer, like what
Yes.
you did, so that that person can take action on it, because she was
Hmm.
great. But, so you raise a really great point. So let me just ask, you know, we are living in a very, very tough time right now. A
Yes.
lot going on, unfortunately, with this terrible Delta variant, and impacting so many things left and right. We all know. I
Hmm.
don't have to itemize that out. I'm just curious, how are you finding that you're using your skills and your experience in this workplace right now, with and what pressing problems that you're finding, and how you use your skills to address what's going on now?
Well, as far as relationships, is the empathy, being able to connect and understand. In the case of my current role, I do represent the city. So I touch point in a lot of our hotels, and I know what they're going through. They're understaffed, they're not able to find new talent, they're burnt out, and half of them are already thinking of just ditching and leaving,
Mhm.
doing anything else that is not hotels, because in a way they have a sort of PTSD. They've been screamed at,
Mhm.
they've been spat at, they've been throwing stuff in their faces. Um, and at the end of the day, they showed up. They showed up, and it's not easy. So always being able to lend a hand when it's needed, also being and feel for them. If I need information for a proposal or something, I know that they will take a little bit longer than the usual. So I'm already letting my client know, like, hey, the hotel might take X amount of days, 7 days or more, to answer, just because they're going through short staff, and just make them aware. So there's not a high expectation. Oh, I'm going to receive it within 24 hours, when I know, that hotel, that sales manager will not be able to even get on the desk because they're taking care of the front desk, or they're going up to housekeeping. And the same goes to our neighbors and anyone that we touch. We don't know the struggles they're going through. So that empathy and, in a way, customer service face. Like everywhere I go, I have my customer service face. I can't take it off. For more that I try, like have this serious, like, no, I'm always smiling, like, hi, good morning, good night, right? Just little things like that. At the end of the day, it is something that is not under our control. It is happening. It is real. It's how you react to it. You know, you take the precautions you need, but also you feel for the other person, regardless if they're scared, they're sick, someone got sick. You don't know what they're going through at the end of the day. So it's just extending that courtesy to them.
Yeah, that human, what I think of just as basic humanity, right? Like that kindness, and remember that, we don't know what the other person's going through. And like, what you said also, I've heard from clients too, and it's devastating that customers are so rude. And on one hand, we don't know what they're going through too, right? We also have to give them the benefit of the doubt. Not that it ever excuses rude, disrespectful behavior, unacceptable. And I think there's some entitlement going on that's needs to
be at the end of the day, right now, and I'm actually traveling. I'm in the beautiful city of Austin. Taking all the precautions, of course. But when people thought, okay, everything is opening back up again, they thought that life or travel did pause and then press play again. And they're not aware of the understaffed issue that is going on. So they're just going around like this is 1999 or 2019. It's like, no, this is 2021. A lot of things have changed. And, if you want, very high services, or you think that rates are too high for the amount of services you're getting, it's not the time to travel. That's it. This is not the time to travel if you want to have the best time of your life. And that's the reality from airlines not having enough pilots. So from the get-go in your travel, you're already going to encounter issues with delay or even cancel flights. Of course, hotels and destinations like Austin, San Antonio, Orlando, those are destinations. So you already know that there's 3 or 4 times the amount of people than anywhere else with half of the employees. So you already know that hotel, parks, restaurants are going to suffer. There's going to be a wait. There's going to be, bad services, and it's not their fault. It's just that you have the same amount of people traveling pre-COVID with post-COVID or COVID, because we're still in COVID era,
very much in COVID.
Employment in reality is not even 50%. You can see it in the restaurants. You can see, as in before, there were 6 servers and now there's 3. So in reality, me knowing this, I'm not going to travel anytime soon.
Or at least having those expectations. I think you made a good point that we have to readjust our expectations
to our reality.
Once we don't have the expectation of service as it was prior, then if we can just chill out and say, I'm really lucky to even be able to go out at this point and do those things. Like, remember, not too long ago, we were in lockdown. So let's just, I implore customers to just really have empathy. Again, like what you said, and I'm going to put up here again, Dennis, customer facing empathy for the win. I think customers need to have some more empathy towards those who are also putting themselves at risk. For
those who showed up.
Them. And the other way around too, that, employees need to recognize that customers have been stressed and dying to go out, and they want that service. And so all they can do is give the best they can. And on the other side is just setting those expectations, I think, because if someone's
realigning them
right from the beginning and says,
realigning them and saying, okay, I still can go out, but what if I go in a slower time? Or what if I go during school time, to the parks or something like that? So it's just kind of reassessing it and then making plans around that.
Yeah. And adjusting your schedule as a customer. And I
Yes.
think from the employee side, I'm a big proponent of communication,
Yes.
direct, polite communication. And the
Yes.
more you communicate, the
The better.
more tension gets melted away. So I think that business owners need to train and educate their employees to set up the expectations and
Mhm.
let their customers know from
Yes.
the get-go. We're so happy you came to stay with us, to dine with us, to do business with us, that you came here to buy whatever
Yes.
product or service that it is. Please understand, we want to give you the best service possible. Please have
Yes.
patience with us. This is what we have, and lay out whatever it
Yeah.
is. And right from the beginning, we're all human. Once
Hmm.
you do that, I think you soften the edge. You take
Yes.
away, right,
It's
that
perfect. Hmm.
sharp edge, and they're all of a sudden they're going to be like, ah,
Okay.
okay. And instead, maybe in fact of being nasty, they're going to be more empathetic, and they're
Yes.
going to be more compassionate that
Hmm.
you're there working hard for them. And they're going to say,
No.
you know what?
And
That's okay. It's
yes.
fine. I'm fine. But if
Yes.
that you don't set that stage, and
Hmm.
then service isn't great, they're going to be nasty and bitchy, and they're going to be,
Hmm.
expecting certain things. But
Yeah.
once you say,
Perfect.
we're doing
Yes.
the best we can, and then
Yes.
people
No.
are going to be
And in
like,
a
okay,
way, the customer will feel like they're not ignoring me. They
exactly.
because you are open from the beginning, and I think that's very powerful. Just
Yeah.
before opening that restaurant or before the next shift, like, hey, let's have a 5-minute talk, and and us as managers let the employees know, hey, you can use this verbiage when you
Hmm.
reach this point. And in the same token, let me know as a manager when you're struggling, and if I'm able to move around and help you, then we can make it better. So again, it's communication back
Yeah,
and
and
forth all the
support,
time.
working as a true team,
Yes.
cohesive, collaborative, really being there to support the other one with whatever it needs. That it's not like this is my station. No,
Yes.
everybody needs
Yes.
everyone at this
It's like
point.
a dance in a way. It's like a dance, and it has to be
Mm,
fine-tuned. Everyone has to follow that rhythm, and that way it flows. And that's with events. It actually plays like that. Events, the way that I see it, is like a dance. As things kind of go from one side, other things move from the other, and then all of a sudden the direction of everyone is actually synchronized.
yes,
And
that's
I
so
think
beautiful.
that's how restaurants are. You have to have a synchronized way. And bartenders use this a lot. Bartenders know the amount of time or steps that each drink takes. And they do take very different times. However, bartenders are able, good bartenders, to get, those 6 drinks orders, and all of them come out at the same time.
Mm,
Even though one has 3 or 4 more steps, or the other one takes a little bit longer, because they synchronize like a whole dance based on where everything is and how everything has to happen in order for all 6 of them to come out at the same time.
right. So your whole party has that experience. Yeah, I went to culinary school. I went to Le Cordon Bleu in Paris, and
Mhm.
that I have to say is one of the more important things that I learned. That
Yes.
is always a challenge when you're preparing something, is how do you balance that? How do you time
Yes.
everything so everything is ready, that has different cook times,
Yes.
different preparation, different
And the
steps?
whole table comes out at the same time.
Exactly. And so everyone's enjoying, and both starting with the ingredients being ready at the same time, and then
Hmm.
each dish. And it is
Yes.
an art. It definitely is. And
Yes.
I just want to highlight also here, Carl is still with us. Thank you, Carl. He said, thank you, ladies. Great
Thank
insights.
you.
Appreciate that. And Wanda just joined us. Thank you, Wanda Santos Antonio. Thank you for joining. She says
Oh.
management team needs to tag up daily with their reports to address concerns, questions, motivation. Simply do a temperature check with all.
Yes.
Great, great insight. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Wanda, for joining us, and thank you for contributing that into the conversation.
Yes. It's like a
Absolutely.
temperature check in a way. It's like you're checking what everyone is at. And again, at the Ritz-Carlton, you have, before every shift, you have those 10-15 minutes of hurdle get together. We speak about who is important that is coming in, whose birthday it is in the employee, what's happening within the hotel and the city, but also kind of see where everyone is at. Okay, today I have this, today I have that. Oh, today, my department, usually kitchen will come forward and say, we have a plated lunch for 500 people. And we might actually need like 4 people from management to help us. So you already know that sales or again, higher management, they know that at 11:30 we go down, we get our aprons, we get everything, and we help on the plated. So again, it's not the department, but you're helping the hotel as a unit. So you go there, you have a great time. Plating for big events is so much fun.
Yeah,
And then
when you're working as a team, it is really fun.
yes, it's a lot of fun. And then housekeeping might say, hey, we have a very turnaround. We have 200 people checking out at 11, 12, but then we have 300 people checking in at 3. So you already know we need help stripping the beds. Guess who's putting on their flats? Me, going up there and stripping beds to ensure that the hotel is successful.
It's the attitude of whatever it takes. And it's what I also work with clients to create that environment where the employees are working for a purpose-driven business and not task-driven. So you would never hear someone like in Disney, right? You would never hear someone say, oh, that's not my job. That's not my department. I think we need to work across silos in a corporation.
No, and it creates more teamwork because you connect with that housekeeper, you connect with that cook, you connect with banquet team.
Exactly.
And then when you
work together,
when you see each other, you're like, oh, hi, how are you? And you get to meet people that otherwise you wouldn't meet. So it's incredible. It's incredible how, and this doesn't happen only in hotels. It also happens in venues and in corporations when they're having their own internal events or when they need help in another area or.
Right. I was going to say not even events. I think it's something that I encourage companies to adopt as a part of their just core value system and their protocol and how they work, that they really are there to support each other and they want engagement. They want employee engagement. They want to lower turnover. Well, that's how you do it. You get your people to know each other. And then it's just not like, oh, that's a task I don't want to do. It's, oh, I'm supporting Kenya. And then it becomes personal and they connect. I also just want to highlight, and we're going to need to wrap up here. This has been so fun.
I know.
So Juan, thank you for joining us. As I can confirm Kenya's positive attitude towards
you guys are
these hard COVID times, and life is motivational. It certainly is. And Carl says, teams make anything possible. 100%. You are right. It is really true teamwork, true collaboration.
But something that I learned, because in the line employee level, that could be more than enough. But in my master's degree in organizational leaderships, when I was doing these papers on the different companies from different industry, the main thing that always comes forward is called company culture. This has to apply from the inception of the company. And if the company is already there and you don't know what you're doing, get help. There's plenty of people that are specialists on fixing organizational culture and ensuring that they become that Facebook, that they become that Microsoft, those companies that they have 100 positions open and 100,000 people submit their resume because of how good they are, or at least that's what people think.
Right. So again, you want to be the employer of choice. You want people to come to you for that. And yes, in 100%, it's the kind of situation where that's what I do. I go in and I work with companies to create that culture to appreciate, so that everyone feels appreciated and acknowledged and works together to decrease the turnover and increase that engagement. And the truth is, if you've already got your core values, your mission statement and everything, your values established, as you said, and you're hiring people that they don't know what that is, or people already in the company don't know what that is, then you need to back up. You need to go to the beginnings parts of my process, right? My inside out framework process, because it starts at the very inside, and the inside means that knowing what you stand for, knowing what you're supposed to represent to your external
Yes.
customers and in your front facing people. And if they don't know, how in the world is it ever going to be communicated? So that's something that definitely
Yes.
that clearly defined culture is crucial. And that's one of the things that I love
Yes.
most about
I know.
working with people. So I want to add here again, Wanda, thank you again. She said, absolutely. Team is only as good as you are. 100%, Wanda. Communication and leading by example is key. We are living in a difficult times. Many are struggling behind closed doors, but report to work because they have to. It's important to know your team.
Yes.
Absolutely respect those people
Yes.
who are showing up, and try to reach out and communicate to those who are not. Find out what's going on. Maybe they're having problems. Maybe they're not well. Figure out, how do you show them that you care about them as people, and then they will show up for you. And lastly, she said, love this. Empathy is critical.
Thank you.
Beautiful. 100%. It brings us full circle to Dennis's first comment about customer empathy for the win. Thank you all. Thank you all who have joined us and participated in this conversation, which is really great. We really appreciate you contributing. Kenya, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining today. It was really a fun conversation. We could keep going, keep
I
going.
know.
I just want to let everyone know I'm putting up here, if you want to reach out to Kenya, LinkedIn is the best way. And here's her address. It's Kenya-Michelle is her, basically her name, call tag on LinkedIn. So it's Kenya with the Y, Kenya hyphen Michelle with 2 L's. So thank you so much for
Thank you so
joining. And
much.
yes, Carl, last comment. Carl says humanity matters.
Oh, yes.
Carl, it is all about humanity,
Yes.
isn't it? Right. The goal is to make the world we're
Mhm.
living in a more kind, and make the workplace a more humanized
Yes.
and human-centered place. That's
Yes.
a great place to wrap up today. So
Perfect.
thank you again. I really appreciate it. It's been really wonderful speaking with you today. And everyone, I hope you enjoyed it. Please continue. Leave comments if you're watching the replay, and we look forward to that. And Kenya, I'm going to say goodbye to you and just kind of wrap up here and let everyone know it's
Bye.
coming.
Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. Thank you. So thank you, everyone, today. Really a great conversation, a lot of great takeaways. Think about some of the things, take some notes, try to apply them, and then let us know if that worked for you, and what you feel you most got out of today's show. Next week, we will be back Thursday, 12 o'clock Central, same time, same place. And I will be sharing with you a recorded interview that I did on my vacation. I have multiple, still more to share with you, really interesting ones of how people in their business, for example, in the Akko, in the Shuk, in the city of Akko, have been there for generations, and what they're doing and how they're creating that customer experience for them. So thank you again for joining. I wish everyone a wonderful rest of your day, and join us again next time on Celebrity Customer Experience.